look back to when midnights broke their sleep, awaken our memories of when we would make believe.
Alright, so another video in San Francisco before we actually finish this place. We're gonna probably do one more, and what was the park called? Dolores Park? Dolores? So we're probably gonna do one more in Dolores, but I thought this is a very, very important topic to speak about on the difference between mass approaching and approaching for a result. So what I've noticed is a lot of people who mass approach, the underlying layer, the underlying belief behind mass approaching is you need to approach as many people as possible. So when a guy goes up, he approaches the first girl, he's already thinking about leaving and going to the second one, versus thinking, I'm gonna just approach one or two and persist all the way through to get this girl. And it's the difference between the shotgun approach versus the shotgun approach versus the sniper approach. You can have a shotgun and try to shoot it and hit as many targets as possible, or you can have the sniper and pick your targets as to what you want. Now, obviously, you shouldn't refer to girls as targets, but the example behind it is that you can actually persist with one or two and actually make it work without having to mass approach. And that mass approaching sometimes totally ruins your results because you're already thinking, oh, I started, I approached, now I'll go on to the second one, and now I'll go on to the third one, versus staying in and creating a quality interaction versus a quantity interaction. And what's funny enough is a lot of people use the idea of exposure therapy, and this is something that I've personally talked about that I actually take back. So what they actually do to horses who haven't been on the road, because sometimes they need to transport horses, they'll take a horse, they'll put it into a carriage, and they'll drive it across highways. If the horse hasn't been on a highway before, what it's going to do is it's going to start moving the car around, which is going to cause a crash, which could cause death, etc., etc. So what they actually do is they'll tie a horse to a pole like that, and for a month straight, every single day, they'll tie a horse to it so that it actually gets used to the sounds and noises of cars, the sound and noises of trucks, to the point where it's not scared anymore of it. It doesn't have that fear. And a lot of people will mass approach because they think they have a fear. They're like, I need to mass approach to get rid of this fear. And I actually had a personal experience with this where I went out for a month straight, where every single day I was mass approaching when I first started, and towards the end of the month I didn't feel it anymore. But what I also realized is that feeling wasn't fear. The feeling was actually excitement. The feeling was there to push me to actually go towards my compass of who I'm attracted to. And at the end of the month, I felt very, I just had a voice crack, that's funny. But I felt very robotic. I felt that I wasn't really connecting with the girls anymore. I was just following a process. And what you'll notice is that there is no such thing as approach anxiety. There's actually approach excitement. So every time you see a girl and you're like, holy shit, she's so hot, I want to go up and talk to her, she's my perfect 10. Don't view it as anxiety, view it as excitement. And they actually did a study on this where they found out that the difference between anxiety and excitement in terms of the biological things that are releasing in your brain, the hormones that are releasing in your brain, they're the exact same hormones. The only difference is your interpretation, your personal interpretation of what it actually is. So if you think of it as anxiety, if you think of it as fear, then that's exactly what you're going to feel, which again, we just did a video on a self-fulfilling prophecy. Versus if you think of it as excitement, oh shit, I'm so excited for this, that's what you're going to feel. And you can actually use that to approach girls without having to mass approach and have that underlying belief like, oh, I approached one, now I gotta approach two, now I gotta approach three, but rather persist with one girl and continue that conversation so that you can actually get somewhere with it. And this is where things like the 4 times rule comes in, where you have to actually go up to the girl more than once. And my cameraman actually asked me, what do you think about reapproaching? And I have a personal story about this. I think it's wonderful because a lot of times when you first go up to the girl, her emotional states And where she's at in that moment, she's never going to reject you. She's going to reject the situation and what her emotional state is. But when you come to her a second time or a third time or a fourth time or a fifth time at a different time, the emotional state may be different, and also the environment that she's in is going to be completely different. So I've had a personal experience where in a night I've gone up like 4 or 5 times to a girl. Every time she said no, but by the 5th time I went, she was excited to see me because she was, again, at a different emotional state, a different emotional level, and the environment, the circumstances were different. And a lot of times where you actually go up to a girl and go up to her a second time, you'll notice that they don't even remember you. So a lot of guys will take it personally. They'll go up to a girl one time and they'll be like, oh shit, she rejected me, therefore she hates me. No point of talking to her again. No, there is a point, because if you go up to her again, she might actually like you because she's at a different emotional state and she won't even remember the past interaction that she's had with you. But what's more important is having those quality, longer term interactions versus the quantity and trying to mass approach. And again, I'm pretty sure my student who's standing here with me right now has learned this, because when we went out to have daytime interactions the other day, he literally had one interaction for the entire day. The first interaction that he had, it ended up working, because he was going for quality. He was going for, how can I get to know this girl? Longer period of time, persistence versus mass approaching. And the underlying layer is exposure therapy doesn't apply to mass approaching because it's not fear, it's actually excitement. And you don't want to get rid of that excitement that you feel, because that's what's going to drive you to actually get results. So last video in beautiful San Francisco before we leave to LA, and then Toronto, and then New York. And I love the city, so we'll talk soon. And I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comments. I want to definitely hear your thoughts about this, because obviously there's different beliefs, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you know something else that's going to definitely give me a paradigm shift and think in a different way. So definitely leave your comment down below, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.